Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're going to be unboxing Amul from Stronghold Games. This is a game for 3 to 8 players that plays between 30 and 45 minutes. Uses a lot of set collection in the rules. So here is our rule book here. A lot of this game is knowing the different cards in the deck. So they have a very handy guide on the back here. It tells you how many cards of each type are in the deck based on the number of players. And then there's also a card reference book that'll specifically tell you how each card works. So we've got a little board here that's just used to tell you where to put cards. There's also a little guide here to tell you how many cards go into the market each round, depending on the number of players. Some extra bags, which is always helpful. Here's our score sheet here, and then the rest of the game is just going to be cards. So the rule sheet, the score sheet here is actually going to teach you a lot about the game. There's basically different colors of cards, and you're going to score each color of cards. Then you're going to score for set collection on these two symbols, and you are trying to have the highest total. So there's 3 types of cards with different backs. This is the market deck, and these are all market cards. Just set those aside for a second. Okay, so here is the rest of the market cards, and obviously this is the largest portion of the game there. Then you also have a first player card. These are just little cheat sheets to remind you how scoring works, how the game round works. Little setup cards. This is to track the rounds. So the game plays over 9 rounds. And then afterwards you go into scoring phase. Okay, so as I said, there's 3 types of cards here. The market deck is going to be the largest portion of this deck. But the cards themselves are fairly simple. So at the start of the game, everybody's going to be dealt 5 cards. And then throughout a round, there will be cards dealt to the market based on the number of players. Then each player will draw a card from the market deck. They'll choose one of the 6 cards they now have in their hand to add to the market deck in front here. And then each player will pick a card from the market deck to add back to their hand. Once you've done that, each player will play 1 card in front of them to their play area. So you'll start the round with 5 cards, you'll end the round with 5 cards, but you'll do several things with those cards during the course of a round. So here we have our palace cards. You can see because they have a different border, this white border makes them palace cards. So these, depending on the number of players, you'll use a certain type of them. So this tells you if you're playing with 3 players, you'll use this card, but you'll only use this one if you're playing with 7 or more. And these cards will be over here in the palace area. And then the same thing with the bazaar cards here. You'll use a certain number of those, and those will be in the bazaar area. So when you play a card at the end of your turn, some cards will stay out on your play area. They have this little table here. And at the end of the game, they'll score you points if they're in your play area. This one is set collection. So this one tells you you're trying to collect a set of 3. If you have 1 card, it's worth 1 point. If you have 3 cards, it's worth 13 points. If you have 4 cards, 4 silver cards, you have a set of 3, and then another set of 1. And this arrow here just tells you who contributes to the set. So it's pointing towards you, so only the cards that you have contribute towards your set. There are other cards, like for here, the Camel. Camel is worth a certain number of points based on how many are in play at the end of the game. And this arrow tells you for everybody. So every camel on the board makes camels worth less. There are also cards like this one. This does not have a table icon. It has a hand icon, which means that you will only get the benefit of this card if it's in your hand at the end of the game. But it'll give you 2 points for every set of symbols you have, one of each. You can play hand symbols to the board, but they immediately get discarded. So they aren't worth anything if you do it that way. This one, for instance, wants to be played to the board. It gives you 1 point per green symbol that your neighbors have, the person to the left and the person to the right of you. And then there are some cards that allow you to, for instance, this one allows you to take a card from the bazaar, so from over here, and add them to your play area. So the palace cards, there are cards that let you do that with the palace cards as well. Palace cards are just additional resources. So silver is in the deck, in the market deck, but it's also in the palace. So you can find silver and oil and spices in the palace, as well as other resources. The bazaar, when you take a bazaar card, it goes to your play area. It's worth nothing, but at the end of the game, if you have 2 spice and 1 oil, it's worth 6 points. So these are just a different form of set collection that you can gain through the course of the game. And that's it. That's everything that comes in Amul. At the end of 9 rounds, you're just going to calculate your points, and the person with the most points is going to win. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed our video. If you did, please like and subscribe below. If you have any comments for us, we'd be happy to hear from you.